Wait, why did you name this the Dijon pod?
I meant to put DEJ and Apple autocorrected
Or the mustard. This is the mustard group.
Dijon.
The Dijon.
That's pretty funny. We should like never tell anybody what that means, but always call it the Dijon podcast when the three
Oscars
of us.
Deej.
I'm in. I'm in. I even like the little accente that they put on that. They threw on that E.
Très Dijon.
I didn't know Steve Jobs like moved that way, you know?
Swung what way?
Splashed a little ethnicity onto the autocorrect.
You're talking about his sexual orientation?
No, I'm talking about his font orientation.
Oh.
His
You said I
typing.
didn't know he swung that way, and I was distracted looking at the Oscar nominations, and I'm like, all right, we're straight into it.
Speaking of swing that way, Britt and I started watching Severance.
What?
Mm-hmm.
How did Steve Jobs being gay take us to Severance?
Oh, because there's a little scene. You know what scene I'm talking about. It's like episode 3
Oh, yes.
where they touch hands, and you're like, hey.
Hell yeah.
Hey.
That's crazy. I forgot about
No
that.
spoilers, but hey, you know,
How far are you guys right now?
episode 3. Got this.
You got to get moving, dude. As soon
Episode
as we're
4,
done
I
with this.
thought.
Maybe it's episode 4.
Didn't we watch 3 yesterday?
Yeah, I think we did. I think it was
By
episode
we,
4.
I mean mostly y'all.
Yeah,
you fall asleep?
Josh just kept telling us that it wasn't really worth it, so that's why we were dragging our feet.
I realized something. I get super sad when I can recommend something and people don't like it, whatever. I realized something with our friend Kylie. We recommended a movie and she was like, oh, I don't know about the Harrison taste. And I was like, interesting. Because it's like, I know there's questions around my love for Place Beyond the Pines. Okay, I get that. But this movie, I was like, it's a good movie. And she was over here watching The Substance with us. And Kylie, if you're listening, she was on TikTok. She turned to Kelly at one point and was like, hey, look what my sister sent me. And I paused it and I was like, what the hell are you doing? She's like, oh, my sister sent it. I was like, I didn't ask who sent it. What are we doing? So no wonder. So now I'm like concerned. And I'm less concerned when people don't like my picks. I'm like, maybe you just have terrible movie watching habits. Like TikToking during a movie.
Ooh.
Anyways, I'm so sorry.
Maybe that should be a good take, like Timothy's takes, like to TikTok or not TikTok during movies. If that's the case,
Like at home, like home etiquette.
yeah, Josh for sure TikToks all the time.
What?
It's basically all he
Don't
does.
no. I don't want to point fingers here.
Who
but
does
that's
that?
not me.
Oh, that's you.
Is it
Do I really
Brenna?
do that?
Yeah. Josh is always like, what happened? I'm confused.
That's not true. At least I don't remember it being true.
Yeah.
Because you were busy on your phone. That's why.
Kelly's movie amnesia is getting passed on to me.
That's my favorite thing. She's like, I don't remember this movie. I'm like, amazing. Let's watch it.
That's great.
My God. You're abusing your wife's condition for
Like
your
The
own
Substance.
gain.
There was a part in The Substance where she had forgot what happened. And I'm like, hell yeah. We're like reliving it. I wish I had that.
How did you get Kelly to watch that movie again?
She recommended it.
What? Okay, so I can't trust her then.
Kylie said something about she loved Demi Moore, Mrs. Moore, Miss Moore. And she's like, oh, have you seen The Substance? Well, you should watch it. And I looked at Kelly like, no. Okay. Go off, queen. And we watched it.
That's wild. She all pretends like it is the worst thing. She's never going to watch it. I have all those text messages where I got in trouble because apparently somehow I told y'all to go watch in theaters when really it was Eric. And
Oh, yeah. She
now
texted
she's
Josh
over
after
here.
and was like, why are we watching this, Josh? She's like, and I was like,
I got yelled at. I was like, I literally have avoided this at all costs. But now she's over here rewatching it with her friends and spreading it like the gospel. So
hold on. I got to make sure I logged it again.
I mean, I'm
Hey,
so
can you make sure
behind.
you logged in again.
On Letterboxd, I have like 15 movies that I didn't log.
Which ones
Oh,
have you not
damn.
logged?
Really?
No, it's only like 4, but it feels like a lot.
Hey, wait. Did you guys know something about Presents? Speaking of, I just saw your review, Josh. They filmed it in 10 days.
Dude, they filmed it in 10 days. It was $2 million budget, and they were done with post-production 30 minutes after they wrapped. Because they edited
What?
every day when they did every single scene is one take, apparently, allegedly. Every single section is one take except for one. But other than that, everything you watch, there's only one invisible cut because the cuts they have are cut to black and then cut back to scene. And apparently every day after shooting, they would edit, and it was very easy because it was one take.
That's
and then
crazy.
30 minutes according to some random thing on Twitter. So I don't know how
I believe Twitter.
Journalistic
believe
this
Twitter.
is, but
That's gnarly, actually.
so 10 days doesn't surprise me, but also that is insane. I did not hear about 10 days, but that's insane.
Drew, do you watch a lot of movies on your transit in the air?
Yes.
You sleep.
No, I don't sleep. I usually most of the last couple of flights I've just gotten work done, and then my last flight home I actually had the whole flight that I could have done stuff, and the Wi-Fi was down, so I couldn't watch anything. Sucks.
That's tragic.
It is, but yeah, I'm actually pretty productive on the airplanes. Get a lot done. But yeah, I try to watch movies. I think the last movie I watched on the airplane was Barbie.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
I think that's one you didn't log, huh?
I didn't log that. Let's just see. It's been a minute. But then in the hotel room. All right, you ready? Want to get into some spicy takes before we get into Oscars?
Oh,
I thought you were going to say spicy watches, but yes, let's hear the spicy takes.
Eric, brace yourself.
Dude, Josh blames this. Josh blames the humidity in the air and also the MAGA in the air in Florida for my takes, and maybe it's true, but so I watched 2 movies in my hotel. Granted, this is at the end of like a 15-hour workday each time, but I watched Interstellar, which was a lot to take on at the end of a day, and then I watched the next day. I was like, I'm not going to make that mistake again. I'm not going to watch another 3-hour mind marathon. I'm going to watch something easy, something simple, something light, something I don't really have to think about. And Josh just raves about The Other Guys, about how it's the best comedy of all time. So I watched The Other Guys. And I'm going to tell you something. My hot take on Interstellar, it's a great movie, but it's just boring. It just doesn't do anything for me. I just was so underwhelmed the whole time I was watching this. It's like, God, do I have to finish this? And I kept thinking about going to bed, but then I wasn't tired. And so I just like begrudgingly watched the entire thing. And it was just like, yeah, this is a good movie, but I'm just so flaccid. You know what I mean? As far as like my, just what it was doing for me, just didn't do anything for me. So, but I know the acting's phenomenal. The cinematography is phenomenal. The story's great. All of that is great. It just doesn't do anything for me. And I think I'm comfortable enough to say that now, in my old age.
And what the hell are you about to say about The Other Guys?
Oh, dude, it sucked so bad. Such a crappy movie. I mean, dude, the first like 35 minutes lived up to the hype, right? Like,
do you not like Will Ferrell?
I love Will Ferrell. Love him. Hate Mark Wahlberg though. So this cemented.
Nobody likes Mark Wahlberg,
I know, right?
dude.
But this actually made me like Will Ferrell less. Like Will Ferrell standing. This was like watching the Elvis Presley movie made me like Tom Hanks less. I was like, I don't think I can like you anymore. That's how I felt about Will Ferrell after the end of this movie.
Dude, hold on.
Yeah.
I don't know what episode it was. I said I hated The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
I said he's built to be Moana.
Mm-hmm.
And then Josh reminded me, The Other Guys. That is like his prime role. The aim for the bushes scene.
That's phenomenal. That was in the first 35 minutes. So good.
Yeah, dude.
With Foo Fighters needle dropping in the background. Phenomenal. Loved it. It was great.
Interstellar, it's a fair take. I disagree.
Yep.
I'm not as actually hurt by that one.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I am. Kelly thought it was so boring.
I'm with Kelly.
I was like, what is... She's like, I've seen it. I was like, you fell asleep 10 minutes in. You didn't even see Timothée Chalamet on screen.
Yeah. He was underwhelming too. He was just so there.
I mean,
so mid.
I don't know. Do people like rave about his performance in it?
Josh does, but I mean, I think he's...
Josh loves Timmy though.
He does.
Dude, no way that you thought it...
Yeah, I'm outraged. I'm outraged by The Other Guys.
I mean, guys,
that's what I'm saying. It's some QAnon
funny.
Outright water he's been drinking in those suites.
It just gets so... I mean, okay, so it's a screwball comedy, right? It's supposed to be stupid. I get it. I love it. But even by the own standards that it sets at the beginning, it just gets so stupid and falls apart and is just so dumb. It just wasn't funny. I literally, again, I think I forced myself to finish it. It was like a plate full of veggies, and I was like, "You gotta do it. You gotta eat those veggies." And I'm like gagging. I'm like, "Do it, you little bitch. Eat your veggies." That's how it felt watching The Other Guys,
dude. And Interstellar, apparently,
the Interstellar wasn't that bad. Interstellar was like, eat your grandma's meatloaf because she made it for you. Like there's worse things in the world.
Sec.
Dude, you're already at some high altitude, walking around this earth at 6'9", but being on a plane maybe in this super high altitude is doing something to your
They
brain.
got blood clots, dude. I don't know. I should get some compression socks. But I thought it was bad. It just wasn't funny at all.
I have a question, and I might hang up,
Okay.
depending on your answer. Do you like The Nice Guys?
Oh, absolutely. It is.
Okay.
That is comedy gold. That is
Okay.
one of the best comedies.
It's the and guys.
Mhm.
So just swapping out other and nice, just put that in my brain. Like they're not on the same level at all.
Mm-mm.
I'm not arguing that. To me, The Nice Guys is like generational.
Yes.
I just had that thought of like, I don't know if I need to break up with you right now. Like, I
Right.
just had to make sure.
Oh, I would have quit but I think I knew he liked The Nice Guys,
Yeah.
but I would have quit.
Dude, look, I'm going to be real.
Mhm.
I just checked the runtime. I do remember Interstellar's at 250 something.
Yeah.
It's like a fair take to want it to be a little shorter.
Mhm.
I don't agree. To me, it's like, give me the goods.
Yeah.
We just rewatched The Batman, and the third act, like, probably not necessary.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I don't mind because I was a fan of the movie, but like Kelly, we rewatched it and she's like, why do we need this? The flood and the copycats. So one could argue maybe, but I don't know what you'd take out in Interstellar per se. I'm just like talking myself into like trying to empathize with you right now.
No, it's fair. It's just like
Like I just
I
can't.
think I told Josh, I'm just like, I don't know. I think it was one of those things where I'm just like, you know, it's like all the memes you see. It's like, dude, just don't go. You don't go. There's no movie, but like, just don't go. And like, none of this is all your fault. Like, I don't feel sorry for you, Matthew McConaughey. Like him crying in the monitor. It was really crazy. Our friend Alex Sugg, dude, shout out to Alex Sugg for being an absolute savage on the polar opposite end of the spectrum
yeah.
from me. He lives in New York and he went to the biggest IMAX screen in the world, which is in, I think, Manhattan, New York. Fact check me, producers. But he saw it in 70 millimeter on IMAX. He sat in the front row, dude. No exaggeration. Not like close to the front, literally the front row because it was the only one left. And he was like, I have to do it. And he says it broke his neck and it like broke his heart. But he said when Matthew McConaughey started crying, he said he just lost it. So shout out to Alex. That's where he sat, dude.
Look,
Oh my God, that theater is huge.
Yeah. It's the biggest IMAX in the world. But dude, when he starts crying right there, I'm just like, yeah, bitch, you did it to yourself. You left. So I don't know, man.
How do we move on from this in this episode, actually?
We're going to agree about a lot of our Oscar takes, I think. Maybe we cut that out and we save it for another, you know what I mean? Just kind of
No, we do not.
No, we can't
Let him
cut
get
that.
drunk. And you edit that into a reel and promote this episode on like
Yeah. Okay.
worst take of 2025, 1 month in.
Hold on. The two funniest parts in that movie were the aim for the bushes when they slow-mo run to There Goes My Hero. Funny as shit. And then both the original soup kitchen when they're describing what happened in the red Prius, the soup kitchen, and then when the hobos find him again and they're like, we're gonna fuck in that Prius. And like those parts were the
Okay.
funniest.
I know we're just into this right now,
Yeah.
but the desk pop in and of itself was not funny. Like the scene was like fine. It's Will Ferrell's when he turns and be like, he's like, Terry, I did my first desk. His face looks like when one of my kids gets in trouble, but they don't know why. It's like he's gonna cry, but he's like nervous. Just it's top tier acting. In the moment, he's like, I did my first desk pop, Terry. Like he's like about to cry. Did I do something wrong?
Yeah.
Dude,
It's all the little details in that movie, man.
it's
Like
not the peacock I'm gonna let me fly.
No.
No, it's not Mark Wahlberg.
It's
He's
like
dog water.
It's when he says that it's because you shot Derek Jeter, and then someone yells, "You should have shot A-Rod" in the background.
When
So
they're
little
wrestling at the
details.
funeral, dude.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And he comes over and like Michael Keaton, the way he whispers,
Yeah.
just like his
What's going on? They just continue that whole conversation.
Mark
That's
Wahlberg
good.
could have been replaced with literally anybody,
Yeah.
and maybe Channing Tatum would have done a better job.
Oh, for sure.
But like, yeah, dude, Michael Keaton. Kelly doesn't find that funny either. She was not a fan of the other
I
guys.
got 2 jobs. This one and a manager at Bed Bath & Beyond, so I can pay for his son's education to explore his bisexuality.
Yeah, at NYU. Yeah.
Ahead of its time, man.
You know what's crazy though? When I was driving, I was in an Uber to the airport in Jacksonville. It's called Yankee Clipper. That's the name of the road that the airport's on, is Yankee Clipper. I'm being dead serious. I don't know if they're huge fans of the other guys or something, but it's literally, look it up, dude.
Really?
Look it
Yeah.
up, look it up, dude. It's on Yankee Clipper Boulevard or Drive or whatever. But anyways,
That's pretty hilarious.
all right, let's let the official episode begin. Welcome to the Sweet and Condensed podcast. I'm Josh Perez, your host, and everything that's said after this will be the official part of the podcast.
If you've made it this far after these atrocious takes,
Dude, come on.
if you've made it this far,
Welcome to the Sweet and Condensed podcast, a podcast by people who love movies, people, and the magic that lives where they meet. Eric, you're supposed to lead us into this promised land, dude.
oh shit, I'm so sorry. Let's see the script. Eric leads. Oh, it literally says.
In bold
I didn't read this.
at the top.
Okay, so let's get into this. Okay, the first things first. I think we got to give Josh the floor a little bit. So today on this episode, I'm so sorry. I just choked. We're going to talk about the Oscar nominations. And I think we need to start off with giving Josh the floor. Because
Why?
before we get into like who is on this list, we need to talk about who was snubbed. Like we
Oh.
just got to rip the Band-Aid. Why do you look nervous?
I didn't know what you do. The last time you made me publicly apologize.
Anyways, I think we need to, before we get into the list and who's who and what's what, Josh, tell us about challengers and tell us about whoever else was snubbed that you were upset about.
Okay, well, there could be a few
Baby
snubs,
girl.
but
Sorry, baby girl.
sure, like I'm going to be upset. Baby girl doesn't show up at all. Sure. But that's like Josh being upset, you know. It would be cool, yeah, for Baby Girl to show up somehow. I understand, though, in the Oscars, 5 picks for Best Actress, Lead, and Support. There's only 5 picks. Sure, maybe that's why they ended up showing the Baby Girl showed up at the Globes, because you get a little more picks, because they do like musical drama stuff or musical comedy and drama. But the one that really irks me, and I have no idea, like I'm genuinely pissed off about, is original score. How do you not nominate challengers? Like, and challengers didn't show up at all. And maybe, I know we had mentioned this before about recency bias, and sometimes I think that is a cop-out in some way, but sincerely, is it recency bias? The fact that the way they treated, you know, Dune, and well, some people think Dune should be nominated more. We'll get into that as we go through, because I know they're nominated for 5, but we'll talk about that. But challengers doesn't show up one time, and that score, for me, bias and maybe unbiased, was the score of the year. It might have even been the score of the last 5 years, maybe the decade. I don't know, but I just don't. That makes zero sense to me.
I have a question for you to follow up, because I have not seen The Brutalist, and I might not ever. It's nominated in that same category.
Score?
Yes.
All right, let me pull that up.
So was The Wild Robot.
The Wild Robot. Okay, the one that pisses me off is that Wicked score bumped out challengers.
See, that's what I'm curious. Like, was The Brutalist worth it to bump out challengers?
Maybe, but the Wicked definitely was not. Like Wicked, like what is Wicked? Do you remember there being a score other than them singing songs?
I don't think I do.
It's a musical, and so there's a lot of music. I'm not saying it's, and sorry,
There's a category
to
for that, though.
John Powell and Steven Schwartz. I'm sure they worked really hard. I'm sure if I go back and listen for it, I'm sure it sounds great. I am just so confused and baffled. Although maybe sort of understand off the mic, New Mexico Drew said something about why his theory is, but I think it's bullshit. Not
What
your
is the
theory.
theory?
If this is true, it's bullshit. But what was it about again? Electronica? You said something about electronica and symphony.
I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if the Academy didn't want to award a soundtrack that was entirely made by 2 dudes on a computer, Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor. It would, I mean, that would hold up. Like they've done really pretentious stuff like that in the past when there's like no symphony or orchestral kind of, component to the score. Like that would, I would think that would be completely on brand for the very pretentious Academy. For the same reason why they would never let a horror movie or an action film, like probably why Dune will get snubbed in most of the major categories and like only get the below the line category wins. because they're just like, yeah, sci-fi has no business being here in a serious, Academy award like that. So that was my theory. I don't know.
That is I believe that, because I didn't see The Wild Robot. Someone inform me. Was that did that have
It's really good. I liked it.
I thought it was great.
the score though?
It's really moving. It does a really good job
Yeah.
of it's one of those that are really good, kind of it's like a kids movie, but like really enjoyable for parents. And I think it does a good job of like emotionally guiding you where they want the story to go. So yeah, I don't know if it's like, again, not better than Challengers. You know what I mean? Like to Josh's point, I definitely think Challengers was the most like definitive score of the year. Like it actually had like a life of its own, you know what I mean, outside of the movie. It actually was just whereas the other ones were probably like really, really good, scores, but I don't think they had the same kind of impact that Challengers did.
Or Conclave?
Conclaves was great. The Conclave score definitely held tension, and same thing what Drew had just mentioned about guiding with the Wild Robot, the score guiding and bringing along or gluing things together. Conclave's score was really great. There's a lot of things great about Conclave. I think the way it was shot, the editing, the score really aids to a bunch of older cardinals hanging out in a room talking and voting, right? But yeah, it's so dynamic and it's tense and it's stressful. And I would like to think, and I would say the score adds a lot to that. I much rather see Amelia Perez and Wicked score booted, get on the hell out of here to make room for Challengers, because dude, there was times in Challengers when the score came on, shit was happening and it shifted things. Like specifically the one that really stands out right now in my mind is when Josh O'Connor, what oh my gosh, why am I blanking his name in the movie?
Art?
No, not Art, the other one. Shit.
Don't know.
I'm a fraud. I'm fake as hell, dude.
You are, dude.
What is his name?
Take your Cinema Boy card away.
His name is Patrick.
Patrick. Shit. Okay. When Patrick and I'm done. I'm going away, guys.
Dude, Tashi.
Even think. Oh my gosh, dude. I think I'm having strokes. Okay. So when they're officially dating, Patrick and Tashi, and they're hooking up in Stanford in the dorm room, they're in a relationship. They start talking. They're talking about this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden something shifts and she just says, you know what? We're not hooking up anymore. I'm getting ready for my game. The score comes on and it's like hits so hard about like her saying, this is who I am. Tennis is my life. Tennis is relationship. Tennis is everything. And the score just intercedes that whole thing, dude. And it does that throughout the whole movie. It's like, it's literally its own character. It's so good. And then the other one was, I'd rather see Hans Zimmer for Dune 2, Part 2. I know they're like, it's 60% or some shit is the same from Dune Part 1. Well, Hans Zimmer did both. So they're original to him. And also it's Part 1 and Part 2. That's technically one thing. So it's still an extended of the first one's score, I think. So arguably it should be allowed at the Oscars.
The other one that was upsetting for folks, and I think you too, was film editing. Challengers was excluded, and it's Wicked, Amelia Perez, Conclave, The Brutalist, and Honora. I don't know why. You guys educate me. I don't know why Wicked would be in here over Challengers.
I'll let Drew take the floor on this one.
Why would I loved Wicked was great.
Yeah,
I had a great time.
Yep.
I'm just not seeing the vision of why it would be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a plebe when it comes to this stuff, but I will try to get into. There's a lot of people who are way more into this stuff than I am about like Oscars and awards and stuff. And like they actually know people who are in the voting academy and they follow it and they've been following it for a long time. But they have like all these theories on like the academy does what the academy does, right? So kind of like the Challengers things, like being pretentious towards an all electronic score. They usually pick like there's theories and there's never anything that's like conclusive about this, but they can just like go back and look and say, oh, this is probably what they did when they look in hindsight. And there's usually always like a movie that they champion that's like good for Hollywood, right? So last year they would have said it was Barbie. I don't even know about the year before that, but like what I've heard is that Wicked is going to be nominated for a lot of things because of the star power of Ariana Grande and like that cast and everything they bring because they want them there. So there's other things about just like the award show itself is that they want Ariana Grande and the rest of the cast to be promoting it and to be on the circuit, basically trying to build up support and bring recognition. So it would kind of make sense. Like that's the only reason I can see editing, unless they wanted to like somehow say, I mean, I don't know, because it goes into visual effects. You know what I mean? I think the visual effects I would understand if they got in for that.
For sure. That's where my thought was like, if it's visual effects, it's a separate category.
Yeah.
And then I'm looking at like Amelia Perez. What you're saying makes sense. It tracks. Netflix has a big checkbook. They can cash some checks. They can promote quite a bit of their film being, you know, nominated for second most of all time, which is absolute horseshit. I'm never going to watch that movie. Watched enough clips on Twitter to tell me it shouldn't. There's a list of the most nominated films of all time. It doesn't belong. It like at all.
Yeah.
But what you're saying makes sense, right? It's like Netflix has cash. Netflix can promote one of their films being nominated. They're going to push it. Their viewers are going to hear about it. Like,
yeah. And I think with Amelia Perez too, it's like big international play because I don't remember Homeboy's name, but he's like a really, really well-regarded French filmmaker.
The French dude.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And just the cast that they have, although to Josh's Twitter sphere, everyone's pissed off that they're not actually Mexican, but they are international. I think that also brings, in addition to the Netflix piece that you were talking about, I think that it brings a lot of international clout to the Academy because they pride themselves on being an international voting body and not just an American voting body. And I think they want to expand that. So yeah, there's all these like narratives about why the Academy is doing what they're doing, but I don't know. That's just speculating.
Our boy Bong called out the Oscars a few years ago and said it was a small local film festival.
That's crazy. Okay, I have a question. How do we feel? So looking at actor in a supporting role, sorry, not supporting role. In a leading role, Adrian Brody, The Brutalist, Timothy Chalamet, Complete Unknown, Coleman Domingo, Sing Sing, Ralph, I don't know how to say his last name, R.I.P., Conclave, Sebastian Stan, The Apprentice. There was dialogue around Adrian Brody's voice being AI being used to kind of close the gap on his accent. Now, I know AI is part of our world. Everybody uses it at work. It's a tool. But is that, like, should that impact that they used it in post-production to, like, to finalize the details on his accent?
Is that like, that's for sure? That's verified? Or is it speculation?
Let me pull it up.
I've only seen it on social media and Twitter where they started using AI to tweak accents to just, like Eric had said, tighten things up. And people are speculating because they're trying to figure out how they did this movie on $10 million budget.
The Washington Post reported it.
Is that credible?
Just kidding. Let's see what Vanity Fair says. Hold on. Oh, the editor says the brouhaha began when the Brutalist's Oscar-nominated editor David Jansko gave a rather candid interview. In it, he revealed that the production used Ukrainian software, which specializes in AI voice-generating technology to make Jones and Brody sound more authentic when they spoke in the Hungarian film, or Hungarian for the film. A native Hungarian speaker said that he fed his own voice into the AI model, which then was used to help combine Jones and Brody's characters as they nailed some of the film's trickier Hungarian dialect. Most of their Hungarian dialogue, he said, has part of me talking in there. We were very careful to try to keep their performances.
I don't know. I'm not too, as a dude who can't speak any other languages other than English. I'm not going to go in there and be like, yeah, you didn't learn Hungarian well enough for this role. I mean, if it was like his Hungarian accent while he was speaking English, I'm like, I think that is kind of more part of like the trade of acting, but like memorizing and nailing down a foreign language, I don't know.
What was it? Did you see it? I haven't seen it. Like I said,
Josh has.
Have you guys seen? Josh, you saw it. What's the thought there? After watching it,
I mean, I don't know anything about Hungarian. I don't know the culture. I don't know the accent. So I couldn't. If they used
of course,
AI,
we're not gonna.
If they didn't use the AI, I wouldn't have known a difference probably. Because I'd be like, but the performance was great. I think it was amazing, and I think it was important and vital to the film. It was so impressive that I thought this was based on a true story until afterwards when I Googled it and realized this is not at all based on a true story. And if it was, it would have been some gangster shit because the ending is, but it's still, it's an amazing movie and it's very vital. The Hungarian descendancy or heritage and ethnicity is important to the story. So I guess that kind of can make it conflicting. I might be biased too because we're talking about this. He's probably, he won the Golden Globe. He's probably leading. I haven't really seen out there, but I would assume he's leading the odds in terms of who's going to win Best Actor. The same year that Timothée Chalamet is also in the running, and I want him to win. And did Timmy use AI to? Sure, it's not a Hungarian or a country's accent, but Bob Dylan is an accent in and of itself, and he did that, and he sang in that accent as well. So, or in the voice of Bob Dylan. So that's pretty impressive. And I'm not trying to, compare apples and oranges here, but they're fruit. Why can't you compare? No, I'm just kidding. Shout out Little Dicky. But
no, I agree that it may not be a huge deal because, like someone was talking about Bill Skarsgård and Nosferatu, the makeup and the design of his character it's not like his performance is cheated because there was another team involved. Like, well, yes, there's another category for makeup and costume design to win awards. It's like his performance, and he's talking about it in interviews. It comes to life when you have that on. And so the same way with the Grammys, how many people use auto-tune that win awards? I haven't seen it, so I can't really judge it. I know people are concerned that it's AI rather than normal post-production. I think that's where the concern is, because everything else comes to life from post-production.
Yeah, and maybe this isn't a good comparison, and so I'm just sharing this more so not because I fully believe this, but more so I think, hey, let's think about this for a second, because is this similar to the whole digital and film? And I know that film or digital, when you make movies in digital, I know it's not aiding you in terms of people will say AI is aiding you in a way that's taking away a job and all that other good stuff. How does that compare though, in the sense when you're shooting on film, you're limited, you have a budget, it's more expensive. Digital, you can do a lot more takes, I'm assuming, and it's costing manpower and man hours, but you can delete footage, or I'm sure storage is maybe not as expensive as film. I'm not really sure. Might need fact check, producers help. But is that similar? Like is because using digital aids in some regard, but also with AI, do you still, I don't know how it works, or the software, how is it built? What are the prompts? Are people even prompting anything? What are the settings? Like, is this like a plugin, like where, like you're mentioning auto tuning on music? And I'm speaking way out of my depth here, so take all of this with a grain of salt, listeners. But is there settings where you still have to tweak and you still have to know what you're doing in order to obtain what it is you're going for? And is there a conversation about ethics when it comes to, is this stealing someone's job? Does this take money from a coach who could help Adrian Brody nail it in, or did he work with a coach and this is just another cherry on top? And I don't know. It's because a lot of that, right? Isn't AI the conversation in film mostly because it's stealing jobs and it's not art, and it's replacing and taking away from artists and people. So I think, I don't know how it works, and maybe again I should do more research, but I had no idea, and I wasn't thinking about that when I'm watching the movie, so I can't necessarily speak. But in retrospect, I mean, it was a big part of the performance, right? So if they did use AI, I'm sure they take into consideration. I would imagine the Academy is going to take into consideration anything to get Timothy to win this year. Take it into consideration. So, but everyone else, I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I would be happy with most of the people who won, like Coleman Domingo and Sing Sing. I don't know if you've seen this, Eric, but Drew and I have seen it, and I've the only one seen Rafe Fiennes. I'm gonna call him Rafe. We're on first name basis. So
it's definitely Ralph.
No, I made that mistake on the Harry Potter series podcast, and it is Rafe. is
From
not.
Conclave?
It is not Ralph.
Why is it spelled Ralph?
I'm not going to argue with
What the hell?
the UK, dude.
What?
I know. I don't know how to play it through this speaker, but I would play it for you. But instead, I'm going to send it to you after this podcast. But that's a drop ball on the producers. They should have sent you that. They should have prepped you and gave you a profile on all these people that we're going to talk about. But I wouldn't be upset with if Rafe, Coleman, or Timothy won. Adrian, sweet, but I think he's probably going to win. And maybe this is just me cheering for underdogs. I don't know, but I wouldn't be upset if he won. Do y'all have any opinion on any of these? I know maybe you haven't seen enough to actually have a real opinion, but maybe you can still. Who's your fighter at this point?
Eric, have you seen
Edward Norton in A Complete Unknown. Sorry, I was looking at actor in a supporting role now. I'm so sorry. Jeremy Strong and Kieran Culkin battling out again for actor in a supporting role, huh? What do we think? Who are you guys wanting to win across the board? Is that what you were asking? Or am I drunk?
Oh, I was just asking what y'all's. I felt like I just talked the whole time about leading role, and I was like, wait, what are y'all thoughts about leading role?
Just leading role. I'm sorry. I was scrolling into all the categories because I have thoughts on like just across the board. I thought we were. That's on me. That's on me. Drew, take it away.
I mean, Colvin Domingo. To be fair, it's the only movie I've seen, but I don't need to see the other ones to know that I love Timothée Chalamet. I think he's got incredible star power. He's like Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? I really do think that Timothée Chalamet is our Tom Cruise, where he just has incredible star power. But is he like a phenomenal actor? Like I've seen the trailer and the clips from A Complete Unknown. I don't need to see it to know that he also doesn't sing. Like I listened to him in Saturday Night Live, and he's not really singing. I mean, yes, he sings, but I don't know. It's also like talk singing, you know? It's like, I was down in New York and I saw a chick and I said, hello, how you doing? I like your dress. You know, it's like, okay, cool. You know, I mean, it's impressive. I couldn't do it, but it's also not.
I mean, you just did.
It's not what Josh is making it out to be. So
That's insane. Catching strays,
pop. I mean, I love Timothée Chalamet, not on the level that Josh does, but I do think he has incredible star power, and I will watch anything that he's in. That being said, I think Coleman Domingo changed my life watching Sing Sing. So it is one of my favorite performances ever, and I think just nerding out and all the backstory on all of it, and that he was one of the only few trained actors on there, right? Like most of the other folks were actually formerly incarcerated individuals who were the ones putting on the play that they perform in Sing Sing, and are now professional actors. Yeah, it's just so good. But I don't know, it feels too small. I don't think enough people have seen Sing Sing, and I think everyone would be like, what the hell? But they are making a push by re-releasing it in theaters and in a few like penitentiaries. So I think they're making their case. But for me, for the leading, it's Coleman Domingo. Eric, what are your thoughts? You have thoughts on all these categories, so why don't you lay them on us? Why don't you just go through and give us all of your thoughts, and then we can just jump in.
I saw the video of Yura Borisov.
Mm-hmm.
Someone say his name properly.
Nailed it.
Reading it with his family. That was so adorable.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Kieran Culkin's going to take it though for actor in a supporting role. So it's like Kieran Culkin, Yura, Edward Norton, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, Jeremy Strong, The Apprentice. And I don't know how many times Kieran Culkin is going to steal an award, and I don't mean that like in a derogatory way, from Jeremy Strong. So like the brothers every year for the Emmys that they just like swept the awards, because Succession is one of the greatest shows of all time, top 10 for sure. Jeremy Strong, just sad boy every time. And I think that's going to happen again. I didn't see Complete Unknown or The Brutalist, so I don't know if Guy Pearce truly is like that guy, pun intended, or if Edward Norton brings the heat. Like, was Edward Norton phenomenal?
The thing that's interesting about Edward Norton in A Complete Unknown, have you seen Birdman?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So people say that Edward Norton in Birdman, that's pretty similar to how he is in real life and working with him. And he is not that. He's like the direct opposite, dude. Like trying to save the world, civil rights, and he's just very soft-spoken and kind, doesn't swear, doesn't drink, I don't even know if he smokes. He might be smoking in there because everyone was smoking in that movie. It made me want to smoke in the movie theater. But
Hell yeah.
the thing that's most impressive is that all those people sang. Edward Norton sang. He played the banjo. So that's really impressive. But Guy Pearce, he was a brute, dude. He's a beast in the Brutalist. Like, I hated him. Big piece of shit. Did his role really well. Just a wealthy, gazillionaire. I don't actually know how much money he had, but they just had a shit ton of money in whatever year this, 40s, 50s, and 60s that this spanned across. And yeah, it was great. And Joe Allen, who's not on this list, he was the other support. They was the son of Guy Pearce, and those two as the Van Buren family. I don't think it has any relation. Again, Van Buren threw me off. I was like, oh, Van Buren, this is based on a real story. And but I don't think they have any relation to the Van Buren of the Americans or the United States or the people. Anyways, founding father people. No, dude, I think this is a battle between a Nora and a Real Pain. I didn't see The Apprentice, so again, Sebastian Stan as lead, Jeremy Strong as supporting role. I have no doubt that they crushed it. I have no doubt that they did great. I just don't think I haven't seen enough. I don't in the internet floating around. I haven't seen enough. I think this is a battle between Yora and Kieran. And dude, as much as I loved Kieran and I loved A Real Pain, and I was all in. I was like pulling for the Golden Globes, just seeing some more stuff about Yura. And even if, my brain might be saying pick Kieran because he's more likely going to win, I'm going with my heart for the Oscars, dude. I'm pulling for Nora for most categories, wherever they're nominated. That was my favorite movie of the year. So Yura, I want him to win. I think that by far. And Kieran was in the movie for like 70 minutes of the 80-minute runtime. And so calling it support when he's literally opening and spoiler, I guess, kind of, sort of. He's
Closing.
The first character you see and he's the last character you see. I'm like,
totally
how's he
agree.
not the lead?
I'm not sure. That's a tricky one. I would also agree that I'm pulling for Euro. Don't think it'll happen. I mean, that would be incredible. Hey, Drew said they're pulling international cards this year, so
they are. But they also love a good story, and Kieran Culkin is a good story. He's a good showman. So I don't know.
That speech will go viral. Like, they want the whole
and
bit.
He's been a childhood. I mean, he's been a Hollywood staple since he was just like a little guy. So they love a hometown hero. So I don't know, but it would be cool if it would be really cool if Euro won. But yeah, I don't want any of the other three to win. I don't want Edward Norton. I don't want Jeremy Strong. They're probably great. Guy Pearce, maybe. A lot of people have said that this might be his year, but I don't know.
I think who I'm rooting for the most is Demi, Miss Moore. I don't think she'll win it because Wicked's loved by everybody. And again, I had a great time. Mm-hmm. Amelia Perez is just sneaking in here. Honora, but gosh, it would be just incredible if some form of award went to the horror genre. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. She was amazing. Whether you threw up 5 times like Josh or not, you can't deny it. It was just such a strong performance, but I don't think it'll happen.
Yeah. I'm with Josh that I think anytime Honora is nominated, I think I'm gonna probably go for it. But it's tough to go up against Cynthia, and it's almost unfair because she did so incredible when she was singing, that element of it. So what I'm about to say maybe doesn't stand up. She might be the toughest case, but I think Mikey even more than Demi, because of Margaret was on the other side of that, really carrying the film, and
crushed.
Maybe was in there more. I would say that maybe even she might be more of a lead. But dude, Mikey Madison carried Honora. She was the engine, a true leading actress for that whole thing. And I liked Cynthia Erivo in Wicked, but you could also argue that what's her name? Jesus. Ariana Grande. She was also, it was almost like they were the one two. It was almost like A Real Pain with Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin. They were just feeding off of each other, and the two of them together were more like a co-lead. And I kind of think that with Wicked. And as much as I love everybody else in Honora, Mikey was the freaking engine of that movie. So to me, if I'm being like a purist, I think she purely like drove that movie more than any of the other actresses, and that's why I really think she should get it.
And I support that too, because like I'm fine with her beating the Substance because she had a major role in a recent Scream. She was Ghostface.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'll take some form of connection there.
There you go.
But no, yeah, absolutely dominating performance. You know what's funny? I think I've said this on the podcast before, but on the record, I want to say again, Ariana Grande was hilarious in Wicked. I heard the songs. I think I said this on the podcast before, but I heard the songs. Kids loved them. Kids saw it before I did. They went to the theaters. I didn't see it in theaters. But when it came to digital, we watched it. It came out on digital, we watched it. And her mannerisms through the song, like she crushed. Like I don't think I've known her capabilities or abilities as an actress before. Yeah, she had her Disney shows and she had her like rap adjacent music and, but like seeing her on screen, like it was great. She was actually hilarious. I'd agree. Yeah, it's tough to think that they wouldn't give it to Wicked just because it's Wicked, like you said earlier, and it's good for cinema, and the second one's coming out this year. But maybe they hold off because she comes back.
Good.
Hero of the story, Wicked 2.
I don't know. Just that, we talked about the last time with Dune and Dune Part 1 and Part 2, and I don't know. I don't think Wicked's a trilogy, right?
I think it's just 2-part.
The 2 parts sequels, I know it's not really a sequel, it's just part 2, but I don't know. Sometimes those second ones don't get as much love. I don't know if that's going to be the case though with Wicked, because musicals might be different and every project is different. But
see, that's my thing is like, okay, there's a musical category, right?
It's like the Oscars?
Is there not?
No, it's I think only in the Globes.
On the Globes? Get out of town.
Musical comedy is one, and then drama is completely on their own.
Yeah, there's no
in
musical.
the Globes.
Oh my god.
There's sound. There's
put them all together, dude.
Music.
See, I think that's what it is. Then we just leave it there. Leave it in the Golden Globes musical category because it was a great musical.
Yeah, and I think musicals don't do poorly. La La Land did great, right? And so it's not that for me. I just think, or maybe I'm just being biased, but I'm with Drew, Mikey. Nora Falls Apart. I think if you don't have Mikey Madison and Carla did great. Like I think Carla doing 2 roles as Manitas and Amelia, and there's 2 specific scenes. Eric, I know you haven't seen it, but there's a scene where as Manitas, the cartel drug lord, he does a whisper, like a whisper rap when they're handing over the initial contract of something. Dude, that shit went kind of hard. And then there's another scene, Amelia yells about her kids. And I think throughout, like those are the highlights. And I think Carla did great, but I don't think a lot of these, and maybe this is controversial in not our group actually, because I know Eric doesn't want to see Amelia Perez anywhere, but I just don't think it was like that. I don't think it was that great to be in this many categories. And Carla, great, but I don't know, nomination I'm cool with. I don't think a win though. I think this is, I haven't seen I'm Still Here. I know Fernanda is getting a lot of talk and won the Globe. Dude, I don't know. I'm seeing big, and of course they're just publications and I don't know, their track record, but even I think I saw Variety saying Demi is predicted to win for them, for Variety magazine or pub or whatever it's called. So I wouldn't necessarily count out Demi more for winning. Like I would say that they're just in the front runner, if just as much as Cynthia. I could be wrong, but just in terms of the internet.
Yeah. I think that the lead actress is like always one of the most like difficult to call categories, Like I think even last year, who was it they thought was going to win, but Emma Stone won for
that was Lily
Gladstone.
Lily Gladstone.
Yep.
And everyone thought she had it in the lock, and everyone
didn't
was so
Emma
sure.
say something about her in her speech or like address her?
Probably.
Like thanking, I don't know. Yeah, that was I've only seen that movie once.
Kinds of Kindness. No, it's not.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah. And it's not even. It's Poor Things is what it was. What she won for.
Yeah, her other sexually wild movie.
Yeah. Yep. All right. What do you guys think about for? So I'll jump into support actress in supporting role. Okay, 2 points. I think what Josh was saying about Amelia Perez, I do think that Zoe Saldana
Yeah.
did carry that movie, and I don't think as much as I mean, I think if Amelia Perez deserves to win any award, it probably should be Zoe. Like, I would not be mad if Zoe won for supporting role because she did lay it on out there. She did kick ass. And even when she wasn't rapping, which she did, which was insanely impressive, she just like she acted her ass off. You know what I mean? Like she was genuinely so good. And I think she did. Yeah, I think she was more the lead in that movie. It wasn't about her necessarily, but I think she was more the lead. And then to kind of again swing on what I said about Wicked, I wouldn't be mad if Ariana Grande won. But then again, I didn't see The Brutalist or A Complete Unknown. So
Yeah, I agree. I agree with what Drew just said. Zoe crushed it. And I think, yeah, I wouldn't be upset. I wouldn't be mad. Isabella Rossellini did great, but it was one of those that they were on screen for 13 minutes. And not to say that belittles or diminishes. It's just hard for me. It was a great performance. That movie was great. There was a lot of supporting people in that film in general, and I think they were all great. And that movie in itself was just everyone was just elevating each other. So I understand that. It just would be hard for me to not see that Zoe or Felicity, Ariana. And I'll be honest, I am so happy and stoked to see Monica Barbaro. I think that's how you say her name. I am, because dude, when I left that movie, I thought obviously Timothy did great and the movie was awesome. And I mean, acting wise, like Elle Fanning did great, but Monica as was it Joan Baez? I was just blown away by those two specifically, Timothy and Joan. Like them two in scenes, their singing, their performances. And so when I didn't see her, I know there's so many great supporting. I mean, you had what's her name? Jamie Lee Curtis in The Last Showgirl, who's a complete force in that movie. And so I understood why they didn't show up in the Globes, but also I was a little sad. But seeing her here, one, kind of blew my mind because I didn't think it was going to happen. But two, seeing it made me very happy because I think she crushed it. Like she was a star in that movie. So, but I think it's a race between Zoe and Felicity and Ariana Grande. Probably, I loved Ariana Grande. I thought she was hilarious. Comedic timing was great. I didn't know she had it in her like this. So respect. I'm so sorry. I'm embarrassed. But if I had to guess, it's between Zoe and Felicity. Felicity Jones does a powerful performance in being someone who holds her own and I think cuts through the bullshit, and one of those characters that seems like a meek character, but is just a powerful individual. And so I was a big fan of her, but I think, yeah, I think Zoe might pull ahead on this one. But
what do we think about directing? Because directing is Anora, Brutalist, Complete Unknown, Amelia Perez, The Substance.
Dude, I'm biased again. I want Anora. I think Sean Baker was director and editor. And was he cinematographer on this one?
I don't think
he might have
so.
been triple wearing hats, but I know for sure he edited and directed, and I just think that's very impressive. And so, but I know The Brutalist is probably a front runner on this one, especially if they're in the running for Best Picture. Historically, editing, Best Picture, director are in the conversation of winning, the awards. They're usually pretty similar, not always, but I mean, it's awesome to see. Is it Coralie Farge? It's awesome to see her there. I think, again, like Eric had said, it made me gag and fake vomit multiple times. But it is, I think, a feat that movie. And then I even read saw pages of the screenplay. It was just obscene. Like,
oh yeah,
like cap locks and bigger letters and different fonts and bold black letter. Like it was just all, like, it felt like the movie. Like it was just absurd. There we go. That's the word.
I feel like that would be great in the writing original screenplay. And then if they really want to do something for Brutalist, maybe editing and then directing can go to Anora. I mean, like there's 3 separate categories. The substance is wild, and I don't know. It's obviously not going to get, because I think it is nominated for Best Picture, which is absolutely hilarious, isn't it? Yes, it is. So it's obviously not going to happen. But like, you could do original screenplay there, but the hard thing is like A Real Pain, The Brutalist had you fooled thinking it was a original, Nora, and then the other one was what, September 5th. That's tough.
Yeah,
Oh,
I want Nora to win the screenplay, but
one other side point. Production design is not one I've given a shit about before, but this year it's The Brutalist, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Nosferatu, and Wicked. Now I know it doesn't stand a chance, but Nosferatu was gorgeous. And like, I don't think it'll happen, but that is another one I'm pulling for. Sorry to like sidetrack from directing to production design, but that's tough.
Yeah. I mean, that's a stiff category, because I've heard people rave about Conclave. I mean, The Brutalist. I mean, if it's about one of the most, if it's supposedly about one of the greatest architects of all time that never existed, sorry, Josh, it's got to look beautiful. I mean, Dune Part 2 was just incredible.
Yeah.
And then the fact that so much of that, I mean, that's why, like, dude, if Wicked wins, I'll be pretty, not to be a douchebag, because I think there's like 5 million of me on Reddit who are like, it's all CGI. But I mean, come on, guys. Like, the fact that like all of these use computer generated images, we get that. But the fact that like most of Wicked was shot in front of a green screen, and you have like Nosferatu and Dune Part 2 mostly shot on set, you know what I mean, on location, that would just be a travesty.
They brought real wolves to the set for Nosferatu.
Yeah.
Like,
wait,
what's
really?
his name? Yes.
Yeah.
That chased Nicholas Hoult.
Yeah. Eggers
Love
is
it.
a
Like, my
psycho.
boy almost died for the love of the game. You know what I mean? And so, see, this is where I think there needs to be a separation of like, sure, Cynthia crushed her singing in Wicked. The clips of her on green screen, ugly as hell. She sounds great. So the performance might be there. But you're right. The production design, like, that is not. Like, I'm not mad if Doom wins over Nosferatu. I'm obviously, because I love horror. Nosferatu, sure, I'd love it. Not gonna happen. Dune, awesome. I haven't seen The Brutalist. Like you said, I'm sure it's gorgeous. I'm not gonna be pissed. But I would agree with you that Wicked would. I wouldn't be stoked. Visual effects is there.
Yeah, visual effects, Wicked's there, right?
Hand it over.
Although you're going up against one of the goats, right? The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes of
Trash
CGI.
movie, but yes, fantastic CGI.
So, and Dune, I think, has a decent chance. I don't know if they'll do it. I think they won the previous Dune Part 1 for visual effects, I believe, in the last time they were in the Oscars.
Oh,
so.
did they? Okay.
But not to say that's going to happen. And I heard Better Man is also pretty cool.
Oh, you haven't seen Better Man?
No. But I hear the CGI and the visual effects are great. But to use Dune as production design too, to loop us back to directing, I do think Denny getting snubbed. I don't know. Do y'all feel like Denny Villeneuve was a snub in the directing space? I mean, because you would have to knock off one of these people, right? So what do y'all? I just know that the internet and myself are pretty upset.
Pause on my comment about Better Man. I thought you said Different Man. I loved Different Man. Better Man. We don't need to comment on it. Okay, return.
There we go.
I was a little bit surprised by that. I was like, wow. I was like, Eric, really?
Wrong man. Wrong man. Different Man.
Really standing up for this right now. I don't know. That's tough. Okay, what I was going to say about directing, say what you will about the movies, but to give 1 point for Slytherin and Eric over there, The Substance was the most directed movie, right? Like, that movie, no one else could make that movie, like that is like, I think A Complete Unknown, you could probably give that to 25 other directors. The Brutalist, probably. Nora and Amelia Perez, that's a tougher case to make, because I think those are pretty unique to them. But The Substance was the most directed movie, meaning like the fingerprint of the director was like the most obvious on that. And I think it was like a movie, right? Not like The Brutalist or Conclave, where it's kind of like mimicking real life. It's like, this is absolutely insane, and some of the things they pulled off were pretty great. So I don't know, that's just my thought. But yeah, I think it would be tough, Josh, to like, I mean, again, I don't know. It's probably easy to pick on Amelia Perez, but I would take Amelia Perez off of this or a complete unknown off this. But I have heard um, that a complete unknown is just a really, really well done movie. So maybe I should give James a little bit more credit than I am. But yeah, I would be like, I thought Amelia Perez was like impressive, but like, I mean, we talked about this when Dune first came out. Like Dune was like the Hollywood blockbuster done to perfection, right? It was incredible cast, huge sets, world building, but like he still put so much heart into it and pulled it all off. And if you listen to any of the cast, it's just like Denis, his passion, his love, his dedication is like what inspired everybody. So I don't know. Yeah, it is. I do definitely think that that is a huge snub. I think objectively, probably the biggest snub of this. Sorry, Josh. I agree with you about challengers, but I think that yeah, Denis not making this top 5 list is pretty Academy doing Academy things.
Yeah. Yeah, I love Luca Guadagnino, and I think he's a great director. If he was going to be on this for directing, though, I think to your point about Fingerprint, Queer was probably more Luca.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yeah, that's one. We didn't see Daniel Craig as a lead. Wait, is he in here?
Mm-mm.
Am I?
He's not.
No, he's not. Right? Okay.
Just
He didn't make it, and a lot of people think that was his performance, and he did great. He really did do a stellar job in Queer. But I think I'm more hurt that Denny. Yeah, I'm more hurt than Denny than Luca.
No.
Luca
I wasn't
will be
talking,
there.
I wasn't talking about Luca. I was talking about Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross.
Oh, gotcha.
Like,
You're saying Denny's a bigger snub in
yeah,
general.
yeah.
I thought you were saying in the directing
no.
world. Okay, my
no,
bad.
no,
My
no,
bad.
No, just
Okay.
overall egregious snubs. I think Denny not making director's list is probably, in my mind, a little bit bigger than challengers not making music. But
it's a good point that you bring up about how many directors could do a complete unknown, because, and I know it seems like because Dune had such star power and money behind it and source material, we've seen that not matter in superhero movies, whether it's Batman versus Superman or, I was looking at another one. I was just looking at this list, like Suicide Squad or Will Ferrell, Will Smith's After Earth. I mean, you have one of the biggest movie stars of all time. Okay, shut the. Oh my god! But like, you can bomb just because you have good source material and stars. It doesn't mean anything. So I do think that's a good point. Like what he was able to do with Dune, and it was truly one of those movies. Like I've said this before. I'll say it again. Kelly doesn't do sci-fi or any kind of action adventure. I said, babe, just trust me. Just come. Give her a little bit of like what it's about. Saw Dune 2. She's into it. She loved it. We rewatched it. Like, and that's how I judge a movie. Can it bring Kelly to the dark side?
Yeah.
But and again, I haven't seen a complete unknown, so I can't say anything, or Brutalist on like what they were able to do with those movies. But truly, Dune is special, and yes, it's like he had money and star power, but you can waste that if you're not a good director. I'm not calling anybody else out, but like
Zack Snyder sucks.
There's so many movies. Yeah, absolutely, he's trash. Because look at the Suicide Squad as compared to Suicide Squad. Same source material. You have similar actors, but like one is just a fantastic use of the material. It's fun. It's a good time. John Cena is incredible. And the other one is just garbage. And like,
right.
That's who's running the show.
I think making those decisions, and I think Denny's decisions of what to use from the source material, what to leave out, more importantly, or how to adapt it.
Exactly.
Because his decisions are so great, I think, in the adaptation to make it on screen and make it compelling, instead of just beat for beat trying to stay to the source material. And not that I don't know if that was the issue with the Suicide Squad. I don't know, it fell apart for the original.
Yeah.
I mean, The Brutalist is a feat. I mean, it's 3.5 hours. There's built-in intermission. I believe it was made with that idea, and I could be wrong. I might need to be fact-checked. Listeners, let us know. Hit the chat. And the first half views pretty differently than the second half, and I think that being intentional, I don't know if that's true, but it felt like it was intentional, even though it was just really impressive. I think that whole project to be that long and what they did and with that vision. And yeah, I think it's impressive, but I don't know. I still Sean Baker, and I hadn't considered what Drew was saying about the substance, and I was like convinced. There we go. You had me like, oh shit. Well, that's kind of true, and maybe I'm just biased because it scared the shit out of me, and it made me sick.
So how do we feel about the big one, Best Picture? I'm so scared it's going to Amelia Perez.
Do you think there's a good chance? I mean, because it's in International Feature and Best Picture. Do you think? Why do you say you're so scared? What's got you?
Because I do, especially hearing what you guys are saying about these performances like that I haven't seen. I don't think, and Josh, you sent me something about like movies that have been nominated for a dozen awards and don't win any but one. Like if that happens, is this the one they give it?
Gotcha.
Like is this the consolation? I mean, it's not a consolation prize. Like this is the award. And do they do that because they don't want to take it away from like, I don't know. I'm scared. But again, I haven't seen it, so I can't talk too much trash. I would love for it to go to Dune Part 2. I know we all love Anora here.
Either one of those, Anora, Dune Part 2. I mean, if Dune Part 2 wins cinematography too, because Greg Fraser is doing wonders behind the camera for those movies, it would be cool for them to. I mean, Dune Part 2 got nominated for 5. If they win those two, that would be pretty sick. If they potentially can win 3, but I have a feeling that it's not. Dune Part 2 is not going to do it. I think the Oscars are going to lean towards Conclave or The Brutalist. It depends. If this AI thing really does impact the voting, it could lean off of The Brutalist, but I think I would love to see Anora or Dune. Dune Part 2 is just because that was my favorite like theater experience, like being in the theater watching it. I watched it both in IMAX and another time in Dolby, and with the sound and the colors and the big screen, it was just such a fun theater experience. And I know they're not taking that in consideration for this Best Picture, but it would be fun to see Dune. But Anora, I'm pulling for Anora, I think, overall. But I wouldn't be upset for Conclave, and I wouldn't be surprised if The Brutalist wins.
Yeah. I think the Academy narrative that like a movie like Conclave just seems like catnip for the Academy, because it's like so, I mean, not to say the quality of the movie, but like the movie's just so boring. Like it's not sexy, it's not flashy. Like I think what Josh was saying, it's like it's just quietly really good. Like it's just really good performances by, like a handful of really well-regarded actors in Hollywood. And it's like not controversial at all. It's not ruffling any feathers. And it's just like an easy, like, we're just gonna give this one to Conclave because it's just like the boring, like Mayo choice. You know what I mean? I don't know. Or they could swing wild and give it to Amelia Perez and just like piss off 50% of the internet population. I don't know.
I don't want to say exactly how it's controversial, but there is a interesting ending to Conclave.
Yeah.
So I think it's worth watching for that. No. I don't want to, because
you're okay being racist at a Thai restaurant, but you won't spoil a movie.
No, that was a public smear by Eric Harrison. That was not me. Oh, sorry.
No,
go ahead.
Drew. You were going to defend yourself.
I was just going to say,
racist.
I was just going to say, yeah. You're right. It was just a tight. The Conclave is a tight movie. Like it feels seamless.
Yeah. But what I was going to say is it's like it's old white actors then talking in a room. It's like talking in a room movie, right? Like those do well. Like I think the Academy loves those kind of movies. So
right, that's true.
Well, that's it, guys. We did it. That's the Oscars.
We're gonna live stream them.
Nice.
Oh, that'd be fun.
We absolutely should.
Visual effects, writing. I mean, I think when it comes to all the other stuff, we've pretty much hit like who we want in screenplay, visual effects, sound.
We're rooting for Anora. I need some form of horror recognition, and Miss Madison winning counts. She was a ghost face. That's what I need.
Yeah. Well,
Josh wants win. Substance can win screenplay, right?
Best Picture.
I think Nosferatu could win maybe one of these. Probably won't, but it could.
No, probably not.
Do you think Dune Part 2, Greg Fraser's a lock for cinematography? Because Nosferatu's also there.
I thought that Dune was better shot than
Okay.
There was some
Dune was
okay. This
fantastic.
might be a hot take from my boy Eric Harrison, but there were some shots, and he did, and dude, Eggers did this in freaking Vivitch too. They were just too dark. I'm just like, I can't see anything. This isn't setting an ambiance. This is fucking frustrating because I can't see shit. So that would be my knock on Nosferatu. That was just too dark sometimes. It was like I literally couldn't see what the hell is going on. So I would say that. And then, dude, again, I mean, Josh and I nerd out about this all the time. But in Dune, when the freaking Harkonnens just, and you just see that shot of all of them like floating up, I'm just like, come on, guys, come on.
That was crazy.
Come on.
That was one of those shots that like can't be replicated, or the feeling. I liken it to, it was like 2007 or 2006 when they first teased. I know it was 2006. First teased Dark Knight. And it was literally just like a short little teaser, 30 seconds. We were watching something. We were probably watching Transformers in the theater. I don't know. And the very end, it's a card, and you just hear the Joker laugh. And like this rush of adrenaline. I got a boner, like fully hard, hitting my brother and our friends. Like we were losing our minds.
With the boner?
You never feel that again. It was like, no shot, we're about to get the Joker on screen. And there's those experiences in the theater where like, it doesn't, you watch it at home, it feels good. You see that for the first time, you're like, fuck yes. Like it's a movie. That is one of those scenes, dude. For me, him riding the worm too, I got a little tingly. That was sick. Like that was, sorry.
Dude, it was like, that movie was like my road to Damascus, dude. Scales fall off. I'm seeing for the first time, dude. Like I fucking believe, dude. It was
Paul.
It was
Josh's Paul.
My bad. Paul. Oh, I thought you were saying Paul Atreides. I was like, basically
Paul Atreides. But
yeah, that movie wasn't
love it,
beautiful.
Dude.
But yeah, no, I don't know. I think I would love to see a Norwin writing, and I think Sing Sing. But Conclave, I don't know. I think Conclave's probably going to win the adapted screenplay, but it would be cool to see Sing Sing win something. I want him to win. I want Sing Sing to win something, but they're only nominated for 3, and I'm not really sure.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Coleman Domingo's going to look better than everybody at the red carpet, though. So
1,000%, dude.
He's going to win that. He's going to win.
Also, Coleman and Kieran Culkin had like the best variety actor on actor. Their 1 hour was just wonderful.
Yeah, it was kind of like me and Josh talking though. When Coleman Domingo and Kieran start talking about their morning routine, he's like, "What do you do when there's like a 5 a.m. call time?" And Kieran Culkin goes, "I wake up at 5 a.m." And he goes, "What?" He's like, "Man, you're insane." And like Coleman Domingo's literally having like heart palpitations thinking about it, because Coleman's like, and then Kieran's like, "What do you do if you have a 5?" He's like, "I wake up at 3:45. I put on a little jazz, take a nice shower, get my mind right, all this stuff." He's like, "Dude, you're insane." No. And they're just like both freaking out. I feel like that's me and Josh. I'm Coleman Domingo and Josh is Kieran Culkin, just for the record. Just in case you're wondering.
He goes, "I have my clothes on the floor, so ready to get dressed in for the next day." And I literally do that, where I put my clothes out when Drew's like, because it's not that I don't get up. I can get up. Drew's like, "Hey, dude, we're going to Albuquerque. Is it cool if we leave at 6 a.m.? I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely." The clothes I'm going to wear in the road trip are literally on the floor. I wake up, and he goes, "I wake up at 5. He goes, "Technically 5:09 because I snooze." And I'm like, "Dude, that's my dude. Snooze, dude. That's how you know, dude. If you're getting up on a number that's divisible by 9, you're a real one, because you're hitting that snooze button at least once or twice."
On the floor is crazy.
Yeah. Oh, anyways, so those are personalities.
Well, I think unless there's more rambling to be had, we can wrap this up with a call to the newsletter, sweet and condensed. Send us money. Check out our Instagram, Favorite Watch Wednesdays, Tempt These Takes. There's lots of good stuff. I don't know. What else do we tell? If you made it this far, you might as well send us money. Like if you're actively listening right now, just send us $5.
We know it's you, Brian. It's Brian Lee. Brian Lee, thank you.
Shout out, Brian Lee.
Shout out to Brian Lee. Thank you for making it this far. Our own moms don't listen. Our own wives don't listen.
Families abandoned us.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, Kelly is a part of Sweet and Condensed, and she will not make it this far. Sarah?
No.
We don't even know if Sarah knows we have a podcast. She's been on the podcast. We don't even know if she knows.
She's not even listened to one of them before.
Never. So, Brian Lee, you're a real one.
Toodaloo.
Ugh.